Hello, I'm Timothy Batten, and you're watching Welcome Home Doggy, where we talk about creating a better quality of life for all dogs. Joining us today is Janne Swearengen and Kalyb James, the author and illustrator, respectively, of The Yorkie Who Sings at Midnight. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Kalyb, Jan, hi. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Great. Very good.
Yeah, don't be shy. Speak up. Don't worry. We're not going to bite you. I don't think Angela will either, so I think we're probably okay. So we all had a chance to read your book, and it is a box of tissue kind of thing. The illustrations are phenomenal. So what we wanted to talk about today is really how you guys got to put this together, because you seem like the unlikeliest coupling out of anybody that we've ever seen that put together a project. So tell us about the book, because having read it, it was definitely a tearjerker, like I said, and it's Angela's story, and she actually does sing, apparently. Is that correct?
She does sing, but I'll tell you how the book got started. First of all, I have no professional training. I'm not a writer. I've not been involved in any classes, maybe one. But my husband has always wanted a Yorkie, and we happened to see her picture on a rescue site. She was at a vet being treated for heartworms, among other things. And it just came across as, okay, this is the one. And so I called immediately to the vet who actually the book is dedicated to, and inquired about her. She was up for adoption, has been in a foster situation, is ready for her new home. They called her Thumbelina because she's a tiny little thing. And so it was just meant to be. And we got her home, and she became, instead of his dog, she became my dog. And much to his chagrin, although he has Mike Tyson, who is the Chihuahua.
Fair enough.
So after a few days of her being here, she slept in a little donut bed beside me, not on the floor. Didn't want her on the bed because she doesn't have good vision. Between midnight and 4 in the morning, I would hear humming. And I thought, where is that coming from? And then I realized it was from her. So I held the phone down and recorded her several nights in a row just to make sure I wasn't hearing things or dreaming. Sure enough, it was her.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, this idea came into my mind, The Yorkie Who Sings at Midnight. I posted a small piece on Facebook titled that. Someone read it and suggested that I turn it into a book. Now, I am a visceral person. Remember the old Phyllis Diller line, this isn't hair, it's nerve ends. There you go. So I just started writing, and I got in touch with the president of the Mississippi Writers Guild, who said, go for it. She helped me. She helped me being an editor. And we did it. It just spilled out one night, overnight, and we happened to be on the same page. And from there, it was just finding the right person to do the illustrations that we wanted.
So you always wanted it to be illustrated as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't read the book and not see Angela, which her name became Angela Thumbelina. First of all, she's our angel. And second of all, I love Thumbelina. So it's got to be a combination.
And
so
now we've got a Kalyb in the picture. When you started,
we do have a Kalyb in the picture because I called an assistant principal down the street and said, I need to find a student of yours that's very talented to help me. Kalyb, I'm throwing it to you. Go for it.
So what happened was, as you said, you called the principal, and she got in contact with my mom, who helped her get in contact with me, and basically told you about me I thought that it would be a good opportunity to get more experience with doing art on commission, and it seemed like a really great project because I love animals, and I loved hearing about Angela's story.
Yeah.
And
from what I understand, when you called, Jan, when you called, there wasn't even a second thought when they were like, oh, we're going to hook you up with Caleb. Like, this is the guy.
Oh, no. And when I talked to the assistant principal, she said, I've got just the person for you. Because I said, give me a few names and I'd like to try some people out. Well, I had a sketch.
No, it's Caleb, period.
Caleb. It's Caleb. By all means, it's Caleb.
Wonderful.
And so I sent him a sketch, a bad sketch of kind of the picture I wanted to see on the cover, and sent it to him. And about 15 minutes later, he sends it back. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is it. Absolutely. I don't think we had to make just maybe some minute changes to the title page. And I said, my gosh, I get chills now just thinking about how this evolved. So there you go.
Well, Caleb, now, have you always been interested in art, or is that something you recently got into, or you just have always just been inclined towards that?
I have always loved doing art.
Wonderful.
Since I was like 5, if not before.
Yeah.
I've always loved doing art.
You basically had a pencil in your hand drawing before you can even remember anything else, I'm sure.
I even once, on my mom's first day of working at the school, took a Sharpie and wrote on the desk. Drew.
I'm sure she was thrilled about that. But here you are now at 15, you're already a published illustrator in a book. So it's funny how things turn out, my friend. Look at you now. So,
yeah.
So,
and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you've won some awards and have art in also in some galleries.
Yes, actually.
Nice. We have a couple, if we can see them there. There's a couple from the book there of artwork, and it's quite wonderful, extremely talented. And definitely, we know there's some big things coming from you because you're already published at such a young age. It's phenomenal. So now the first half of the book, now when we got into the book, the first half reads from Angela's point of view,
Yes.
and at one point, Mike Tyson's point of view.
Yes.
And then it becomes a kind of almost a how-to guide for people that are looking to have rescues. All my pets have all been rescues, and that's something I'm very proud of. Not as from a bragging standpoint, but there are so many pets in facilities that do need a good home. So would you talk a little bit more about that, like about how like some of the things that people need to be thinking about when they're going, like looking at getting a rescue dog, like, because that to me is one of the important parts of this book as well, not just Angela's story, but also where she came from and why we want to rescue.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a call to action book, but I wanted it also to be a call to action with the right kind of action that follows. And when I've been on the board of this rescue group before that we worked with, and have seen so many people come in and just go crazy about a dog that, in your mind, this is not going to be a good fit. So I wanted to provide people with an idea of, first of all, what rescue is all about. Second of all, what foster care is all about. And third, what adoption is all about. And give people hints or suggestions along the way so that when a decision is made to adopt or even to foster a dog, it's a fit that will work, that you don't find yourself 2 weeks later saying, gosh, I don't think I can handle this dog, or this dog is going to be too big for my apartment. I didn't realize it, or all that kind of stuff. So it was important for this book not only to be Angela's story, but to let her story be a message to everybody. I would call it a mess. She went from a mess to a message. Let her story tell people what it's like to be hoarded, what it's like to be an overbred dog, what it's like to develop heartworms and all that kind of stuff to get through it, and then offer suggestions on how to make the right choices, what to think about, and to ask questions, all that kind of stuff, so that when you do finally adopt, it's a good fit.
Absolutely. But the last thing we would want is for a pet to go home with somebody and end up right back in a shelter.
You bet.
For it just to be a bad fit, and then for everyone to be unhappy together. So it's a great call to action, and just a lot of great suggestions in there about what to think about. Because one of the producers on the show, he breeds Weimaraners, and one of the things that he taught us, or told me, was that there's actually a large number of purebred dogs in shelters because people see it and they think that's what they want. They think it's
Yeah.
a cute dog, or that's the idea of, but they haven't done any research on the animal at all and know anything about what the pet is like, its demeanor, what its needs are. They just have an idea. So there's definitely kind of things we want to avoid for our pets in all sense of the word. So
You
um,
bet.
now, what was it like when you guys first got together and started working on this? How was that for you, Kalyb? Were you kind of blown away when you were like, "Oh, this lady wants me to illustrate her book"? Like, oh my gosh, what was that like for you guys?
I was astounded, proud, nervous. I couldn't believe that I was in high school and I had a chance to do something that would turn out this big.
Yeah, yeah,
It
congratulations,
was
it's amazing.
such a huge, amazing surprise
Oh,
that I got to be involved in something like this.
yeah, absolutely. Well, it definitely sounds like you've earned it if you've been working that long and that hard since you can't even remember, to actually create some stuff like this. And illustrations are phenomenal. So, is there anything in the future for you guys? You're still working towards stuff together, or are you just kind of like waiting to see what happens?
Waiting to see what happens.
Waiting to see what happens. That's all any of us are doing.
Yeah, actually, we have a book signing and a reading this week at one of the big independent bookstores in Jackson, Mississippi. And Kalyb's going to be there, and I want to make sure to introduce him because this guy's he's got a great future ahead of him. And as far as our future is concerned, whatever comes. But right now, my concentration is getting Angela's book out. We've also begun a mission, I guess, if you want to call it that. We go to long-term care facilities and assisted living facilities and read to the residents
Now, is this
with the
Angela?
pandemic. Yes, this is Team Jangela.
Jan-
Remember Brad and Angelina. This Team Jangela is got several opportunities now to go and read to people, and we're excited about it. I mean, she has a good time. She gets to go, and they get the animal-human connection. And with the rigors of the pandemic having taken a toll on everybody's psyche, it's a great visit. I mean, that you can see people just light up when she comes in the room.
So are you taking other books, or are you reading the Yorkie Who Sings at Midnight, or are you just kind of going with it when you guys go out and like read?
Just her book right now, and it's amazing the response you get. You don't think that reading to a bunch of folks who are elderly like myself, excuse me, that would be very important. But when they see her and when they hear her story, we spend some time after the reading. I don't read very long. Spend some time answering questions. Do you have any questions? What about your animals? Did you have pets growing up? Tell me about. And it's just a really nice time to engage them and anybody into a little history, a little bit about themselves, and just, I guess, shed a little happiness in the world today.
Do you have any plans to expand that program? Like have, since the message is to get the pets out there and help people actually talk about their lives and understand and like actually bond with a pet in a way. Do you have plans to like expand the program or do more with it? Or
I would love to. I will see how it goes. It's very early. We have like 3 opportunities in the next couple of weeks to go to facilities and read to folks. And one person said to me the other day, she said, "I'm not sure my folks would really enjoy being read to." And I said, "I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's give it a try. And if I can sense in the first minute and a half that people's, looking around the room, then we'll stop and we'll just talk to them about having pets and so forth, or let them talk to Angela. If not, I bet you will find that they become very engaged. So yeah, Tim, it would be great to expand this program. It all depends on Angela's energy level and interest."
now, Kalyb, what's next for you? Where can we see you next? Because you've got some art in a book, and like Jan said, you've got some art and some exhibits and different things. What kind of projects are you working on now? Are you doing stuff for school, or you doing your own kind of thing? A little bit of both. You got plans to work in art in the future?
I do have plans to work in art in the future, and for the moment, I'm just going to focus on, getting my grades up, working
Well, from what
on
I understand, you're already a straight A student. How much further can you go?
taking more art classes, working on my own personal art, and just figuring out what college I want to get into that fits whatever job description I want to go into, because it's definitely going to be something that's art related, but I haven't decided on a concrete goal as of yet.
Totally understand that. Well, it'd be a shame if you didn't pursue art, because you've definitely got a gift.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely captured the spirit of Angela. How did you guys collaborate on that? You know, you said that you sent Kalyb a picture and then he sent you one back almost immediately, and you were
Yeah.
like, this is just it. This is it. Like, how do you guys, how did you work on that together, collaborate on that together, and able to bring it together? Because I knew when I was reading this book, I was looking right into your home, you know, like perfectly. I knew exactly, like, you guys had nailed it. And I wasn't
Yeah.
like gonna see, like you told me you were gonna have Angela in the picture there. And I was like, well, I knew, like, the minute I said, well, of course that's Angela. I've already seen her. But how did you guys capture that so well and work together so well?
Those of you who are familiar with the book, The Little Prince, which is one of the prefaces of the book, it is it's a stunning book. It's a classic, and the art in the book is what captures what the book is. And when I saw the Kalyb and I saw the book, and I thought, what is the art gonna look like? It was in the image, or the type of art that's in The Little Prince. So I mentioned that to Kalyb. I think he went and found the Little Prince book and looked at it to see what the art looked like, and doggone it, nailed it, you know.
So what was that first meeting like when you guys finally got together and you're sitting down? Like, what was that like for you, Kalyb? Where you're like, oh my gosh, you know, like we said, like, I'm gonna illustrate a book now. Like, how is this happening? So what else was that like for you? Tell us about that first meeting, both of you guys, please.
It didn't hit me until after I actually saw Angela that I'm drawing and reading and writing with someone, like with an actual dog, and she was adorable,
Sure.
and I loved meeting her so much.
How was Mike Tyson? Because I heard he jumped in there on the pictures too. I got a little picture.
Yes.
See if I can find
Mike Tyson. Yeah, Mike Tyson is doing fine. He tolerates her, and I think bottom line is he really does care a lot about her. He won't admit it. Yeah, there's Mike Tyson. He's got an attitude.
Look at that swagger too. I mean,
That's right. He's got an attitude.
Picked up on the side. So what else? What's the big thing you guys wanted people to take away from this book? We called about the call to action, and you know, I know for me, it's definitely thinking about, is this the right fit? You know, like, because one of the things that we've been talking about on the show and various guests is that there's a lot of pandemic pets now, you know, because people were at home and they were lonely. And so we have tons of pets that got rescued or adopted or just from wherever. And that's an amazing thing, but we're also kind of wondering what the fallout from that might be. And we're hoping that it's going to be that a bunch of these people made the right fit. So what else? Is there anything else that you guys hope that people would take away from this book besides it just being the right fit?
Well, I want to put in a plug for the foster care part.
Okay.
Because you know, the rescue part is important, of course, getting dogs out of a bad situation like Angela's. And the adoption is also very important. But a lot of times, and this is one or two of the chapters, a lot of times what we find is that the dogs that are rescued are in no shape to be adopted right off the bat. And most reputable shelters will have a process where dogs are vetted. They're spayed or neutered. They are made well. They're at least beginning treatment for heartworms, which is a big problem for dogs in the South. So foster care is an absolute necessity to make sure that dogs come out of their situation in the best health that they can be, best physical health, and then mental health, because a lot of dogs have emotional scars from being abused or being puppy mill dogs that don't have a clue how their lives are supposed to be. So hopefully that the foster care, the foster program can grow. I mean, people, like we say, they either foster animals and move them from a bad situation through help to adoption, or a bad situation and they become a failed foster, which is what we are. Failed foster is someone who takes in a pet to foster and then says, oh, I can't give this dog up, and fails at fostering and keeps the dog. So there's the line between where rescue, foster, and adoption can occur, and that all of those areas are critical.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, So speaking of that, like taking them through that process of coming in, and in the book, it's a very detailed depiction of the shape that Angela was in. Would you talk about what that was like? Because in the book, it's just a laundry list of things that you had to deal with when she came into your life. Could you just tell us a little about the shape she was in so our viewers have an idea of what you're speaking about, like specifically to have that foster come in and to get them healthy?
Yeah, I'll actually try to do two things. First, for Angela, I knew that she was, since she was a part of a hoarding situation, I knew that her demeanor was going to be confused. She's not used to being held or anything like that. Second of all, her physical issues were she has a cataract on her eye. She calls it a crackerjack. She has no teeth. She has a lower jaw that has melted away because of no teeth and trying to find food. She was heartworm positive. But the big issue for her, and will be from here on out, basically, she has mammary gland tumors that, may or may not become malignant over time. But that's okay. For us, it was, let's just give her a home and love her and see how she does. We were expecting a dog to be almost at death's door, more or less, and doggone it, if she doesn't take over. I mean, she patrols this house, and then she gets all excited about getting to eat, and she eats out of a special bowl. So she came to us with a litany of physical issues that her foster mom took great care of. She's now heartworm free, and she doesn't hear very well either. So
That's probably by
she's
design. She's like,
happy.
nah, can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah, what? She looks all around, where's that sound coming from?
Can't hear you. I'm just talking about.
And it really does bring up another point about the least of these. Older dogs with psychological or emotional problems or behavior problems, and dogs that are just have been left behind, basically, are the hardest ones to adopt out or foster. I know with Marley, the wayward poodle that we had, we were going to foster him, but he had such behavioral issues that just hit you out of the blue. We later found out why and worked on that, but he was a troubled boy from the time he came into our home. And we said to ourselves, nobody's going to want this dog. We will keep him. So we failed at fostering Marley, but we gave him a good home until he decided to leave us, or had to leave us. But you've got to take all that to consideration when you want to adopt a dog that has been fostered, or you need to know what their physical issues are, what their emotional issues are, what their behavioral issues are. Because when we got Marley, we had no idea. Nobody did, actually, until he started biting and was very aggressive. But with some excellent training and some patience, we made it.
Before we go, I wanted to read, one little excerpt from the book that to me really just, listening to you talk about going into the nursing homes and caring for people that need care and concern and fostering and adopting. And this little excerpt from the book really just kind of brought it all together for me. And it's talking about Angela. And you said, we simply adore her, and we know our hearts will be shattered when her time is up. Yet it's because of her and so many who were forgotten or ignored, we'll do it again and again until we find ourselves incapable of functioning on our own and need someone to adopt us. And that's right there, my dear. If that doesn't just sum that book up perfectly and how big of a heart that you have and these pets have for us, I don't think anything can. Now, did you, you said that you did have Angela's prayer with you?
I do. Angela says a prayer every night, and she'd like for us to share it with everyone.
Would be honored if you did.
Every night I say this prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep and pray to dog, my soul to keep, my home to keep, my special bowl so I can eat, and comfy bed so soft and sweet. My one good eye so I can see my big backyard where I roam free. Keep my heartbeats always strong so I can share my midnight song. Help me tell the tale of how you snatched me from then and put me in now. Please help me stay here as long as forever. I won't disappoint you, I promise, not ever. Amen.
Amen. Kalyb, Jan, Angela, thank you guys for joining us. That's all the time we have for this week's episode. And for more information on today's episode and our guests, please go to our website, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram, and like us on Facebook. As always, it's been a pleasure chatting with you about how you can create a better life for all dogs. I've been your host, Timothy Batten, and this has been Welcome Home Doggy.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's gotta come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.